Sound Bent. Hey Razzles, what's a rising? Welcome to Sound Bent, another episode. Super happy, super excited to be here. I cannot express that enough. We do have a special show coming today. I cannot wait because it is with a dear friend of mine who is a guest. We have gigged before, but before I introduce him on the show, really quickly, a big shout out to Native Sun Studios, who is our sponsor. If you have any needs for studio or film, the description would be in the description box below here on YouTube on the video. So, now, let me introduce you to our Insta audience that we have going on here. What is going on, you guys? We do have our Insta audience here for the comments, so I am going to be ready for the comment sections to come through. Please welcome James Knoerl. What is up, James?
How are you?
I am great. How you doing?
Doing all right. I fell on my bike yesterday, so.
Oh, you got to tell me about that.
Pedestrians don't walk in the bike lanes. Simple story.
So,
specifically, don't decide that you want to get in the bike lane just before I'm about to be in your personal space.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York.
I think between New York and San Francisco, I believe it's
prefer anywhere. Don't do it anywhere.
In case you guys do not know James, he is a phenomenal, amazing drummer. We have gigged before. We've had quite a few gigs actually, and never have played with anyone who drums like this guy here. He's mixed with pop and soul, funk, whatever you want to put in that Kool-Aid. That's what he is. So James, thank you so much for being a part of my life and a part of my music journey. And now he's here on Sound Bent. All right, so how long have you played?
Since I was 6. So I'm 27.
Wow.
So I can math real quick. Yeah, a long time. Like 21 years.
Okay.
So I've been playing drums long enough. I've been playing drums long enough for drums to be able to drink now, I guess.
That's a good one.
Would be it, right?
Never heard that before. Do you have any accomplishments or certain people who you've been super happy to play with? Like, oh man, I can't believe in those moments.
Well, it's funny that you called me like a pop soul R&B drummer, because that's literally like anyone else who talks about my drumming that's not in the equation ever. Because a lot of this, because most of the gigs that I've done are like metal stuff.
I would never be able to tell that.
That's good. That means I'm doing my job properly. I mean, you should have been able to tell it from, like, this thing that I've got going on.
You know what?
But
if you want to go there, we could add folk into it.
We could, but so I've done a lot of touring throughout the country and like Europe. I think a big one I did was I toured with this band called The Faceless. We did this tour called Summer Slaughter. The thing about that tour that was nuts for me was I got the call for that tour while I was on vacation in Puerto Rico, and so I like had 2 days to learn the entire set, and then like flew home, and then just like went on tour, which was fun.
Wow.
And that was like full U.S. I think that was like 40 dates or something, maybe not 40, I think 30 or something, but that was cool. And then another big one that's super recent. One of my other bands, Brand of Sacrifice, we put out a record at the beginning of this month, and we charted #1 on Top New Artists for Billboard.
Congrats!
So I get a plaque. Yeah. Insane.
That is insane.
Yeah, pretty stoked about that. So that's been pretty cool. And
so James, I want to go ahead and just jump right into this because drummers are very active, to say the least, in bands. They carry a lot. It's a lot to, so it's a lot of baggage whenever you're carrying your own kits and everything around, and it's just, I'm not talking about them. I just want to make this clear. I'm not talking about them. I'm not joking on them. It's just something that I don't understand. How do you have big drummers. Like I don't want to say, I don't
like
want to say
overweight,
fat,
like
but
overweight drummers.
yes, like there are drummers that have like so much arm, and I see these arms are going, and you feel their heart palpitating, and they're just, I mean, everywhere. Especially they have a whole set kit, you know. Yeah, they're up here and they're down here. And how? I do not get this.
So I actually looked into this because it's similar to people that bike for their like jobs, for like, you know, like Grubhub or whatever. People that do commuting for their work every day. That's like a lot, you know, like
that
an
is
hour
a lot.
or two. And it's actually has to do with your brain, because if you don't associate something as exercise, it actually doesn't affect you as much as if you associate it as exercise.
I've heard of
I mean, I'm sure there's like, you know, eating habits and all that other stuff impact it, but it is like actually proven that if you don't associate something as exercise, as like if you're just like it's like a task that you're not really thinking about, it actually like affects the way that your body like treats it.
That is very interesting. Sean, did you know any of that?
No.
That I've never heard of that, but I feel like also drumming has came a long ways, and what I mean by that is even with playing in different genres and different rhythms and different points and counts and all of this, just drumming in general, I feel like, especially technology wise, getting tongue twisted here, and plus I'm dealing with Invisaligns. But technology wise, they get me, I promise you. We now have electric drums. We now have, what are those, the drum pads, where it has the different squares and colors on it, where you can make different beats and all of that. Like, how do you see drummers and drumming has come so far now?
Which is honestly kind of interesting to me, because the drum set, just as an actual instrument, is barely 100 years old.
Okay.
No, that's like real. Like the drum set as an instrument is only 100 years old.
Oh.
So like before you had like tribal drums, African tribal drums.
Right.
And then you had, in like old wars, you had marching snare drums.
Right.
And then you had bass drums, you had, you know, like marching bands per se, right? But it wasn't until like early 10s, 20s in like the South where people started to actually put like, oh, I could play the bass drum on the floor and make a pedal, and I can put a snare drum here and put that and do that. So it's like the drum set is fairly new as an instrument. But with all the technology stuff, I think that's more so like kind of with like the advancement of technology, and I think a lot of that stuff, like you mentioned, like the MPC pads and stuff, is also kind of like it's kind of just like a way for people that don't play drums to sometimes put down drum ideas, because it's laid out in a way that's more simple than having to use like your entire body. You know what I mean? Because if you wanted to play a beat, you just be like boom, boom, like this on a thing, and that's way easier for you to do than to like learn how to play drums.
Now, with that being said, though, do you think that makes you a little lazy? Like over a period of time? No, not you, but just drummers in particular.
I mean, there is definitely an element of that, and I mean, I don't think that that's just. I don't think that's reserved just for drummers. I mean, like think about like anything in like guitars. Like if there's amps that like have a noise gate on it that clean up your tone, like you could use that to your advantage of not practicing or whatever. But in terms of drums, I think that, you know, I don't really think it's. I mean, you could be lazy with it, but also like with electronics, a lot of that stuff is designed to be super clear and super like clear in the mix. So if like you're messing up on that stuff, it's going to be way more noticeable as if it was just like an acoustic instrument.
And I feel like that is it. Even if we're not talking about drums, or you know, it's just as far as everything goes. Technology has its pros and cons, and I feel like, you know, I was talking to someone even about keyboards and piano. You don't have people who play that like that super fast, that those finger tricks pianos like all the time now. Like it's not like that anymore. And if you ask somebody for that, they're just like, listen, I can play, but you're not about to get all of that out of me. I'm not doing all of that. Even with horns, like those hits in certain songs, that used to be back in the day. Like it used to make the songs, jazz and pop, and just like but now I had a gig like this. It was a Christmas gig. It was a holiday gig, and I was like, do you hear the hits that he's doing? Like, this is what I want you to do. He was like, listen, I don't have the air capacity for that. You're not gonna get all that out of me. But now that we have technology and pads and things to just press and it makes it so simple. But I feel like even when it comes to drums, it doesn't give you a certain discipline that you had to have at one point. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you're not.
I think what, or maybe what I'm taking from what you're saying is like it. At least for me, like when you talk about like old horn players and stuff like that can really like belt out notes and it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You're like, I think a lot of that has less to do with like people's laziness and stuff like that. It's more so just like those people were genuinely like very unique in the fact that they were that good, and like that kind of player does not exist very often. And it's the same thing with like drums. Is like, to further your point of like what you were talking about, like, oh, you can just do the thing on a pad and it's the same sound, but it's not the same, like, you don't get the same like visceral feeling from it as if someone's in a room with you hitting a snare drum as loud as they can. It's like, it's the same. Like, on paper, it's the same, but, like, it doesn't make me feel the same way.
This is, okay. I get that.
We're getting really introspective now,
So I want to talk about drummers' health. And I think that it's really something, because I found this out not too long ago. Drummers actually deal with a lot. And this kind of ties into the question that I asked of why are there overweight drummers? Why are there big drummers? Because you go through the itchiness. I think it's called the wet seat. You go through the. I'm putting it out there. This is vent. This is called sound vent for a reason.
My God.
You deal with the bleeding hands. You deal with I'm serious. You deal with chapping. You deal with cramping, and you deal with quite a bit being the drummer. Did you know this, Sean?
No, I did not. Especially wet seat.
Yo.
All right, so let's be clear here.
All right, let's vent about it, James.
Before
let's
she gets completely off base here. So, a lot of what you're describing is not that much different from like other people that take an instrument like incredibly seriously and practice like 8 hours a day, right? Like guitar players, if they're on guitars for 8 hours a day, they're gonna get blisters on their hands. Piano players are gonna get blisters,
right.
Et cetera, et cetera. Now, I believe what you're describing here. I believe the correct term is swamp ass. If you were trying to get the glossary definition, but whatever. It's not. I never took that as like a thing that happens specifically to drummers. I was always just like, oh yeah, it's like the same if I was like sitting in my car for like 8 hours driving down the road and I'm just like uncomfortable because it's like 1,000 degrees outside or something,
Okay.
Or if you're like sitting outside and it's hot out. I don't know. Use your imagination.
I didn't know that was a thing. I do want to take this time out to read a few comments that we have on our Instagram live, and we have a comment. There's a lot of people laughing here. We have one from A. Will Groove. He said it all depends on your connection to the music and your will to connect with what music you don't know. And I know he was in regards to the different genres of drummers. Like what is the difference with the drummers of the different genres? And
I think there's like a good example of that is also like if you look at like people always make these like comparisons of like Ringo Starr from like the Beatles is like, is he a good drummer? And it's like, well, good drummer. What does it mean to be like a good drummer? It's like, well, Ringo's not going to go play drums for Metallica because he would be bad for that band. But Lars is also not going to go play drums for the Beatles because he would be bad for the Beatles. So it's really just like to quantify like what a good drummer is such like a, I don't know, it's such a like weird thing you can't really analyze on like a surface level, because it's like, well, I don't know, they're good for this, but they might not be good for this, or maybe they're just sick at everything and they're just going to take everyone's job. Like, you know, there's multiple ways to look at it.
So I was looking at this diagram, and hopefully we're going to have this diagram popped up on the YouTube video of this. But there is, it gives like it's called band equation, and I believe it's what it is.
Oh yeah, you're telling me about this.
Yeah, and so it goes through the different positions of the people, the members in the band, and so it has the singer who gets the most women. Like they put them as like 4 or 5 women with the singer. I think they have a guitarist that gets 3 women, and they have a drummer that gets 1 woman.
That's all you need. That's all you need. You only need 1.
Yeah, they have, you know, it goes through the different members of the band. And
what about the keyboard player? Keyboard player gets 0?
The keyboard player, I think, you know what? That is so funny, because it had him surrounded by a bunch of keyboards.
Yeah, there you go.
Why is that? Is this really true?
No, that's like an entirely made up bullshit
I think
thing.
keyboard players get women, though.
All right,
I'm ready for this one.
First of all, in all the bands that I play in, the vocalist is the most shy member of the band that doesn't talk to anybody, because they're all super introspective about their feelings and all that. You know, they gotta sing about stuff. They're like, but I have played in bands where like the vocalists are clearly like womanizers, which
I was about to say this is about to be a bunch of BS.
I'm just saying maybe in my unique situation, like all the vocalists in my band, like they go up, they do their thing, and then they're like, I don't want to talk to people. Kind of vibe.
So, you know what, speaking of this is our last thing we're going to touch on, because we're coming down to the end of the show. As far as stereotypes or negativity that surrounds drummers, you know, I hear a lot about, and even I've witnessed this. I've witnessed this. You have drummers who are mostly known to be unreliable, who are, you know, late, who, you know, they just have like a lot of negativity that surrounds them. And I would think that it would be more negativity surrounding the singer more than the drummer. But apparently it's actually more of the drummer. Why is there a lot of stereotypes of negativity surrounding you guys? I don't get, I have never had an issue with James on gigs. I just want to mention that, so James is out of this equation. But I would like to know, why so much negativity?
Well, I just would like to be clear that you said there's more negativity towards drummers than singers. I think that might just be because you haven't heard it because you are a singer.
Oh!
And all of...
Shots
again,
fired!
No, again, you're wonderful, you're lovely. But no one ever talks shit about that stuff to their face, you know what I mean? So, like, of course you're not... Like, I don't hear a lot of drummer smack because I play drums, and no one's gonna, like, come at me with, like, yo, bro, man, why you got so many drums? Like, no one's gonna come and do that to me. The same way no one's gonna come up to you and be like, yo, what are you, crazy? Like, stuff like that, you know what I mean? But, let me rattle off my 2 favorite drummer jokes that are completely untrue. My first one is, how do you get the drummer to get off your doorstep? Pay him for the pizza. Because it's implying that he's a pizza delivery man. Oh. Because he doesn't have a real job or no real skills.
Oh.
That's right. I got another one.
That's a bad one.
No, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. And then there's, what do you call a drummer without a girlfriend?
A one-man drummer?
Homeless.
Oh. What?
Yeah. It's implying that drummers are freeloaders.
guys, all of his information and Instagram and whatever other social media you have, it will be in the description box below. And make sure that you follow this guy. Like I said, he's an amazing drummer. He posts his videos and everything that he does, covers and all of this, and gigs on his Instagram. So keep a lookout for this guy because he tours. He has been on tour. So just stay tuned because he's coming through. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video of Sound Vents.